Hello. How we doing tonight, guys? Won't be able to stay for this PA. We'll for sure watch it on YouTube. Just a quick question. Do you trade all year long, or are there months you stay away from the charts? I trade all year long, Alex, and no worries, it will be uploaded to YouTube. So don't worry about missing it. All right. But yes, I do trade all year long. There are some assets that I like to trade some months in the year, more specifically oil and gold. So I just use simple seasonality. All right. So, well, I do have it available on Rice Statistics, but you don't need to own Rice Statistics to have access to seasonal charts. If you're curious, you can go check, but you'll notice some clear patterns in seasonality that lead to me trading oil and gold during those months specifically, but only automated strategies. My own personal trading where I'm clicking entering and closing trades, only NASDAQ and ES. Prioritizing ES during the summer, but you see, like, even this summer, I traded mainly NASDAQ the whole summer. So, yeah, pretty straightforward. That was to answer your question real quick. But talking about this week up to now, I mean, we did exactly what we wanted to see, you know? If you guys were there during the weekly outlook, I had a very simple drawing of a classic buy week, which means, and it was explained as well. So if you're having a hard time with this, definitely do go have a look. But very straightforward, right? Monday, trades lower. Here, I'll bring in our weekly open just so we can see. But Monday, trades lower. Tuesday created the low of the week here inside the fair value gap we created. Had a little bit of a consolidation day on Wednesday, but no news. Oh, no charts, FYI. Well, here is the chart. That's going to be a little bit better. Let me up the quality as well. Sorry about that, guys. I feel like I do that a lot. A little bit careless with that. Sorry. But what I was showcasing is this beautiful drawing right here of a classic buy week, right? And showcasing how Monday, Tuesday, within this fair value gap created the low of the week. Wednesday, no news, consolidation day, and then beautiful expansion going into Thursday. And I just wanted to spend a little bit of time on this because it outlines how important it is. Well, at least for me and for my way of trading. I know a lot of people trade every single day, but for myself, focusing on high probability days, it's such an important aspect of my trading. And I mean, okay, Monday, after a large range day, retracement day, pretty straightforward stuff. Cool. Tuesday, retracement into this fair value gap, then expansion higher. Perfect. The delivery was pretty horrible, but we talked about it in the PA reviews of those days, right? Wednesday, no news. Don't focus on that. And then Tuesday, with news, everything aligns beautifully. We have a perfect expansion, and we closed above this this fair value gap, making it an inversed fair value gap. And now we have a beautiful path towards all-time highs. I also wanted to comment on the fact that if we look at ES here today, we took out ES's all-time highs. Now, a lot of people will tell you, hey, there's SMT here, right? Look for shorts. I don't really care about the SMT. Why? Because I need a swing point to be formed. I did talk about that in the past, but on higher time frames, just like on lower time frames, it's just on a much faster, it happens much faster, right? But I'm looking for a swing point to be formed. So until a swing point, right, a 3-bar pattern is formed, this SMT does not exist, right? I thought it was important to point that out to you guys, but we're talking more about going into tomorrow and the next week. Let's talk some more about today specifically. Going down to 15-minute chart, let's also go in replay mode. We can see some very nice upside delivery. Classic to a trending day. What are we looking for in a trending day? Well, first we need to see manipulation, right? So right at the open, we started trading lower and we formed the low during the Asian session. This is important to me. Then we traded to the opening price of the day and traded back to it. This is my second signal. So these two, there is no SMT. Usually I like to see SMT, so it makes it not perfect. But these two tell you everything you need to know for the daily structure. You can now look for a very large expansion higher. And that's exactly what we saw. We did have a big retracement early on in the morning, right? As we can see from this 9:45 candle, there was 10 a.m. news. Myself, I was looking to trade before news. Now, why is that? Well, we can see it on our chart right away. Well, actually, probably more so in the 1-minute chart, looking back at it. But what do I require to trade before news? And that is when we have news, for example, at 10 a.m., what do I require to look for a trade before said news? Well, SMT and a Judah swing. That Judah swing can just be a simple wick right here with a very simple 20 point that was taken on one asset while it was not on the other. So no need to make it complicated. Is there SMT? Yes. Is there a Judah swing? Yes. So for me, I was looking for a long early on in the morning. Was very present in the futures chat today. So if you guys are curious of what my thoughts were in the moment and so on, it is exactly as I am describing it right now, but pretty straightforward here. And as we saw, both assets took out London high at this point, with London low staying open. It was a big objective for me, but we'll discuss about that a little bit later. No entry though, right? Why is this not an entry? Well, first of all, my target is already taken. We've already run quite a bit from this point. So this is not a valid bullish unicorn entry, right? Even though there's a breaker and an overlapping fair value gap. Why? Because it does not offer any risk to reward. We do not have any clear objective. So this would not be a valid setup. So today I pretty much sat on my hands until 10 a.m. Now, a lot of people talk to me about this potential short. Now, here's the thing. You don't have an entry. That's the thing for me. And you might tell me, hey, well, look at ES. ES provided a valid entry. No. Why is that? Because at this point in time, I'm not looking for a short. And let me go into more detail, because I did say I was going to explain it more in detail for the price action review. Let's actually go in replay mode. It's going to be a lot easier to understand at this point. Let's look at this. So in this case, what can you say? You can say, hey, we just formed a fair value gap. We're retracing into it. From this point on, direction is pretty unsure. So even though ES formed a bearish breaker block and there is a bearish unicorn, I'm not looking for setup because I don't have any clear framework. I don't have any clear direction. But for me, I'm just waiting. Now at this point, I'm still waiting. Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I'm unfamiliar with the bar-to-bar replay. Now at this point in time, does this look like something I want to short? No, not at all. Why? London lows weren't a draw, 100%, right? London lows were an objective, but there was no London framework. I needed taken before 9:30, right? So for me, even though London lows are probable target, it is a bullish day. So I am trading counter trend, and for us to go all the way down here, then I wouldn't keep looking for upside expansion. I'm bullish. So in this case, the only shorts I can look for are retracements. So I would be targeting something closer, like the pre-market lows right here, or even better, the lows, the data lows from the 8:30 news right here. And let me just make that red so it's a little easier to understand. So at this point in time, I do have a framework to go lower, but I don't have a clear setup. And even though ES provides a setup at this point in time, why is this not just a retracement lower to continue higher? Hell, if you guys can give me a valuable reason here, I'd be more than happy to. But for me, I don't have one, which makes this setup worse. Moreover, there's no SMT locally on those highs, right? If we zoom out, we have SMT on multiple daily points, but only very old SMT, which I'm not interested in. So now I just keep going. Is this a valid short? No, I'm not looking to be shorting here. Now, of course, if you did short at this point in time, you would have made money, right? So let's just say you took the entry based off ES, would have had your stop here, at least targeting the 9:30 here, you would have made money, right? So why am I telling you guys it's a bad trade? Because there's no way to justify it up to a certain level where I can justify it as high probability, right? I do this a lot, and people say, oh, you're cherry picking and whatnot. Whenever I tell that in front of people, but I tell them, no, I could have told you that's a trade. Unless you closed it because the FVG inversed, I'm guessing is what you try to say. Yes, as well. It's important to point out we did close above this point, which means that you also invalidated the entry point. But see, for me, I would still be in that trade if it was a valid trade. And then we went lower. I'm going to now leave replay mode, but I did want to go a little bit more in depth about why, for me, that was not a valid trade at all. Now I have to go back in replay mode there. Sorry about that, guys. Hell, I don't know if they have shortcuts for this. Maybe they do. I need to check into it. But That's why I personally did not look to short here and did not believe it was a valid short. That was still bullish. If we go all the way down here, is my trade still valid? Yeah, we can go all the way to London low and my trade can still be valid. This would be a little bit far, but still. What we did here is we returned to the midnight opening price. I've said it multiple times over. This is a level where I look for support and resistance. We touched it. We did not close through it. Moreover, we now have SMT with London low, right? I don't need to draw this one because with the indicator, we can see it very clearly. ES took out London low, while NASDAQ was higher, did not take out London low. At this point in time, I have a higher time frame SMT of a session range, which is a very important SMT in my book. It's definitely a very high probability confluence. We just rejected midnight open. At this point in time, I'm just waiting for a setup too long. That is the only reason. Now, the indicator does not notice this breaker, and that is done on purpose. If you guys are wondering why, it's a swing high to a swing low here. But as you can see, the bar that formed the swing low, its high is higher than the breaker high. So in this case, it would invalidate this breaker. This is something that I've been dabbling about that I'm not sure if I want to change back in the code I wrote, because this I would consider a breaker block in this case, but in some cases not. So it needs confirmation from the lower time frame. But in this case, we did go lower, then go higher, and we formed a breaker block. No matter, it did not form an entry right up until this inversion fair value gap. So this is the first valid entry of the day. There were two in my book, at least in the morning session. I'm tired of seeing the bearish breakers here. So let me just switch this to bullish mode because as I explained, I am only looking for longs. And right here, we have the first available entry. Now with the 3 PD array stop loss rule, we have a fair value gap. We have not yet a fair value gap, but we have the order block and the order block next to it. We can use the swing low, but I prefer using specifically the swing points ordered. And if we bring in the opening range, which I was using today, we had a very clear objective to go target the opening range high after 1030, but overall, just the pre-market highs, which as you can see, we did induce right here, making it a prime example of what we want to see. Right? Low resistance ring, relative equal highs. Now, there's only one problem with this trade. Does it offer enough risk to reward? No. I need my minimum risk to reward to be 1.7. But if we go a tiny bit lower, well, actually quite a bit lower, we see that it did offer 1.7. So that's all I do, by the way, guys. In case you guys are curious, when a trade does not offer enough, I wait to see if it gives me a better entry. If it doesn't, it leaves without me, and I'm fine with it. Because this trade is not worth my time. I've tested it over thousands of setup across the 20 past years of data on NASDAQ. And what I have found is that to be profitable, I need a minimum risk to reward of 1.7, which means that any setup that offers less than that is not worth me taking. And very often it offers a better entry right after. But overall, this one did offer enough if you waited for a better entry, which you got right below there. And if you guys are curious, whenever I'm on my chart, like let's say this was live, I just put in the box. I know where my stop is. I know where my target is. So I put it at 1.7 R. So I know exactly when I can enter, and when price trades to it, I mark it in. Which means that sometimes my trade ends up being 1.68 and so on when I get slipped. Still works out great. Now today is a perfect example of scaling into positions as well, because we had another setup right after. Of course, this setup was successful. I'm already in a long. But if another entry is offered on the same move and my move is still valid, I sometimes like to scale in. And as we can see from this, your stop would be at this low. Why is that? Fair value gap, order block. Where's my third PD array? Well, you do have another order block here. And nonetheless, it is the last point of this breaker block, right? It is the C point, so it is my maximum stop loss. And now, in this case, it offers a lot more risk to reward. What I did personally, I put 3 contracts here, I added 2 more here, and I trailed my stop to this low so that my risk is cut. So it's pretty much if I took this position, placed my stop here, so I trailed my stop, which would offer me more risk to reward, but it does not since it's my initial risk. So then I added money onto it, which meant that it's pretty much like I never took this trade and only took this one. But yeah, that's how I scale into positions. Usually I like to only scale in profit. Right there, I was barely in profit, pretty much the exact same price. I tried that entry as well, but the closure below the second fair value gap spooked me as well. That's why I'm saying I don't like it. Oh, yeah, that you just reminded me. The indicator updates to this unicorn to show that it is still a valid unicorn, but I personally scaled in on this one. That's why I said I was barely in profit. So not on the bottom fair value gap, on the top one. See, that's the thing, Peacock, right? If you just allow yourself and pretty much surrender to the fact that when I'm in a trade, I have to stick to it. Even if you know it's a bad trade and you click the button, that teaches you accountability, right? And you're going to start being a lot more picky with when you decide to click the button. Sorry about that. So in that case, I would just tell you, never close a trade early. Never. The only times I do that is because I have rules, right? I've said it before. If it consolidates right after my entry and then runs away, I'm going break even right away. Why? Because it is my understanding, and I understand that when consolidation forms, we have to sweep both sides. So let's say I'm going long here, and then we sweep the highs, but we leave the lows of this consolidation open. I know there's a very high probability we return to those lows, and I don't want to be in this trade if we do return to those lows. So that's why whenever this happens at my entry and then I see this, I go break even wherever that is. And yeah, sometimes I get stopped out break even, and sometimes it runs and leave relative equal lows. I entered on the upper fair value gap because I thought the lower was a breakaway gap. Thinking too much. You don't need to think about breakaway gaps and implied fair value gaps and volume imbalances, inverted volume imbalances, voids, propulsion blocks, vacuum blocks. Look, I could keep going for hours. Don't waste your time, all right? Do that when you're consistently making money. Then you can study as much as you want. Right now, focus on simplicity over everything. That is the best advice I can give to anyone. After the first entry, would you consider that consolidation? 100%, 100%. So that's why after this consolidation at my entry, actually, that's a great example. Thank you. I'm looking for a breakout of that consolidation. What does that mean? I need to close above, right? So why is that transparent? Actually, that's where I had my line in the sand, where I don't want price to return for my trade to be valid. It's just something I do. But right here, let's actually just remove the text. How do we do that? Can't remove the text? I thought you could. I thought it was just a checkbox. Whatever. But I need to close above. So that's why I would not have gone break even here and gotten break even. I need to close above. So as soon as this point got met, this is where I would go break even on this trade. But since I scaled my position in, it's completely different now. And my stop was there. So combining two trades into one, pretty much. It is still one position, especially when you're trading futures contract. That's how it works. But got a great entry in this point. And by the way, for you guys wondering, yes, even though it doesn't show on NASDAQ that the is a breaker, you could have easily seen it on ES that it did form a breaker. Did you have some SMT at those lows? I feel like there was. Or maybe there was and it wasn't validated. I don't see any for now. So perhaps there was SMT on the highs, of course, but within consolidation, that is more than normal, right? To see SMT even on both sides of the range. All that to say, beautiful trade, especially after 1030. This is for the OGs, but if you remember, for me, 1030 is a very important part, and that is where my opening range ends, and I now have a framework. I understand that price will target one side of the opening range. And in this case, I'm bullish. I'm expecting it to run to the highs even after this. This was definitely a very nice trade. Took its time. Definitely did. If you look at the first available entry, took an hour and 9 minutes. I don't know if you guys remember, but the last PA review on Tuesday, I said it took about an hour and 12 minutes on average to reach my take profit. So definitely on par with our data here. I've been consistently making money. I had 15 straight green days on my funded account before the last 2 days. Good fucking shit. Fuck the last 2 days. Everybody loses. That's part of the game. But not everybody makes money. 15 straight green days. That is amazing. You know what? Julian in this Discord as well was just telling me how he had a great streak during August. Had a great month of August, even though it was more high resistance. He kept taking good trades and making money. So Very, very happy to hear it. Good job, dude. All that to say, now you can spend a lot of your time studying different things, but really, it's a personal opinion. I hate giving my personal opinion to people, and then I don't want them to take it as a rule or whatever. You know, you do you. You're comfortable with what you do, and some concepts resonate better with specific people. But look at what I use. I use premium and discount. I use breaker blocks. I use fair value gaps and inversion fair value gaps. I also use order blocks, but only for my stop loss. Then what else do I use? Well, opening prices and specific ranges. And I'm going to trade like this for the rest of my life. It is that simple. And I like it simple like that. I appreciate it. I appreciate your comment very much. I'm glad. But that is my personal opinion, that you should keep it simple. There's no need to make something like this better. I believe it was Ife who was talking in the futures chat, and he said, I was backtesting, all these frameworks and whatnot, and was said, now I understand how Ollie can be making 10 to 20 hour months consistently. Yeah, repeatable statistical frameworks with the highest probability entry model. Okay, enough glazing about my model. All that to say, some pretty good trades right here, which for me totaled almost 4R realized today. Actually, 5R realized. So pretty cool when you do scale into positions. But that's something not for everyone, right? You would have at least made that. Once again, I did talk about this Tuesday as well, I believe, when I don't have a partial objective. Why? Because there's no way, there's no place to look for partial here, right? There's just a clear objective with these relative equal highs at opening range high. When I don't have an area to take a partial, what do? Well, I just take a bigger piece of the pie at my target. So instead of taking 50% of my position here, like I would at any given partial, for example, right? Even 40% sometimes, well, I just take more. So today I had 5 contracts total. I took out 4 here. Then I had a very tight runner, which got stopped out here. I mean, yeah, you can tell me, oh, well, look, if you would have held, you could have made 60 points more? Yeah. 62 points more? Yeah, but I would have lived through this, and it would have taken, 4 hours and 45 minutes more? Fuck you. Honestly, I'm sorry, but fuck you. I don't want to be there. So instead, what I had is I placed my aggressive partial at 75% of this original range. So as you can see, I got stopped out right here. It was actually the 15-minute open. So where is that? Of the 11 a.m. candle? Or is that the next one? No. So it was right here, actually. I trailed very aggressively. Right here that I got stopped out. And yeah, if you guys want the executions, I'd be more than happy to share them. Value, personal opinion, yeah. And years of your life, yeah. Years of your life, of course. But yeah, so pretty good trade. Sorry, I'm still excited because it was a long one. I was very happy when that one reached take profit right there. And we can talk about different setups, but the truth is you should have been in there in the morning. And if you want to be trading the PM, then you should have been holding your morning trade. So am I going to justify a retracement here? No, there is no good trade here to go short. Now, let's say you missed this trade. The lunch trade would be a valid setup. Just because it didn't work today, doesn't mean it's not a valid setup, right? We want to analyze losses. I wanted to say losses and losing, and I just combined both words. Sorry about that, guys. But we also want to analyze losing setups, right? We want to understand why and so on. But this was a good setup, just a loss. All-time high was reached on ES, which is a big objective. You can now frame retracements, and having the lunch framework grants everything you could want from this point. Of course, at this point in time, we also had SMT with ES not taking out those lunch highs. But as you can see, the first bearish breaker that formed right here at 14.15. Oh, actually, just a bit before here. Bearish breaker right there. We'll put the indicator in bearish mode so we can see it. But right here, as you can see, 14.10 was the first breaker block that was formed. This one did not offer an entry right up until this fair value gap, which actually just gives you another signal with the breaker. So now you're going to ask me, well, is this a valid trade, Ollie? Yeah, 100%, right? And you're entering here, you have 1 PD array, 2 PD arrays, 3 PD arrays. So pretty tight stop here, 5 handles on NASDAQ. I would have been a lot more comfortable just placing it here, even though that is still only 8 points. But 3 PD array stop loss right here, 5.25 handle stop. And then you know, 2R is already right here at 10 handles. So pretty crazy right there. But no, it did not reach the lunch lows. And yes, is it still valid once we trade back above 100%? Is it a bit worse? Sure. But if I'm not mistaken, we still had a higher time frame SMT at this point in time. And also, quite importantly, we formed SMT right after. So let's say you didn't take the trade right away because you didn't think it was good enough. Well, once the SMT is there, you now have a valid reason to be taking that entry. If we look, fair value gap, no inversions. So fair value gap, order block, stop all the way at the swing high. Once again, a valid setup, but it did not work out, right? All of these would have been targeting lunch lows. And you guys know me, I feel like with lunch frameworks, there are always some nice equal lows that you can look to target for partial. So yes, that would have been a valid short in my book. Both of these, they're just losses. Why? Because we have a bullish day, right? We don't always need to retrace. It's very hard to time retracements. So yeah, trading counter trend. Nothing much to add in this sense. It's really just losing trades. But I did want to mention that they are good setups in my opinion. I just this during the PM session, exactly what I just outlined. Beautiful, this trade right here. And yeah, that did offer enough risk to reward. Even if you're targeting some closer targets for a partial, your final target here, at least for me trading the PM session, is always a lunch framework, right? So definitely some very nice setups that were worth it there. They just didn't work out. So morning longs were the way, definitely, for today, with a very, very bullish day. Beautiful day, definitely. It's been a higher resistance during the summer, right? So less clean of daily profiles. But if you zoom out and you try and understand, you can see, hey, we manipulated and we're already expanding quite a bit. Then we traded back down, but we rejected that. Okay, it doesn't take a genius here to figure out, okay, I'm bullish. So when I'm bullish, what am I looking for? I'm looking for bullish unicorn setups. Put the indicator in bullish mode. You don't want to be tempted to go for a short. That's what I do. That's why I have these modes super easy to switch off. It's because if you don't want to get tempted, you have this. Then you also have the reversal mode, which is really just for people who want to trade both sides. But reversals will look at breakers one after the other. And see, for today, you would have had short into long into short. And then it would have looked for a long, would have had a long opportunity here. That would have actually worked out. I don't know if it offered enough for a take profit, but I like your reversal mode. But that's why the modes are accessible. So that, let's say I'm looking for a long, I don't have to think too much. I can just do it. Retracement for tomorrow, I would like to see a continuation. Now, what is going to confirm continuation or retracement? Because both ideas are possible going into tomorrow. Well, it's all going to be about the daily structure. You know me, like I woke up this morning, I was expecting bullish price action. But how do I confirm that idea? I go to my 15-minute chart. I look at the price action right here. And here, I'll be a little realistic as well. Let's remove 930. I'm looking at this. What do I see? I see open into a low, expansion to a high. We have our manipulation. We already started our distribution. So what does that mean? I've already said this. When we have a large overnight expansion, New York is going to be retracement into continuation. What exactly did we see? Retracement, continuation. That's it. I was done for the day right here, holding my runner, got stopped out very quickly, and I closed my charts. I do not require more from my charts. And I know when I say it like that, you guys might think, hey, it sounds easy when he says it, but doing it live is a different thing. Yeah, that's because you don't have enough practice. I've been doing this now, this exact model, for almost 2 years. This September, it is going to be 2 years, right? I actually think it's August 23rd I started, and I got my first funded account on September 6th. First futures funded account. So since September 6th, I've been trading money that makes me money, I guess, because it's not real money. It's still funded accounts, but I can actually make money on the markets. Pretty crazy now. So after 2 years of trading the same frameworks, the same model, you start to get confident in it. And when you see daily structure that you recognize, understand that when we do this, the probabilities tell me that we're going to retrace at New York and then continue. And if you would have waited for 10 a.m., you didn't even have to think that far. I mean, at 10 a.m., it was pretty clear. But we had a framework to trade before news. So I wasted 30 minutes just looking at the charts, not taking a single trade. Pretty boring stuff. Hopefully that answers your questions going into tomorrow. Do we have any other questions, whether it's about today, tomorrow, any specific concepts? You guys know I'm always happy to oblige. Hell, pretty good review today. Pretty good review. Had a great day. Hell, I love these days because sometimes some trades are really hard and it's high resistance during your trades and it just takes a while to get there. But when it does get there, it's like it feels so good. These are my favorite trades. Not the trades that go right away to my target. I mean, those feel easy and it's cool and whatever, but those ones are so much more gratifying because it feels like it was harder to hold this and to manage this correctly. And then especially with scaling. I don't know. I just had some fun. High resistance is wearing on me. Well, we are coming to September, so to fall, right? Q4, which is already a big one for everything. And also contract switch on the 15th of September, right? So I think we are going to see a lot of fucking volatility 2 weeks from now. I'm going to be in Vegas from September 10th to 15th. So I'm just going to be skipping the last week of trading before the contract switch, which to be honest, I'm pretty hyped about. I really don't care about missing that. And anyways, my bots are still trading it. So whatever. But there won't be any PA reviews, won't be any calls in that sense. I will make an announcement about it, but I'm taking some vacation with the boys, you know? I literally just closed my charts after seeing price consolidate for 5 to 10 minutes until it hit my target. Ouch. Yeah, that sucks. Appreciate your time. Thank you. Glad you enjoyed the review. We're going to call it a night here, guys. Good luck trading tomorrow. Of course, we will have another PA review tomorrow. It will probably be an early PA review, right? 5 p.m., just after market close. So let me uncancel it. Can I restore event? Awesome. Because I wasn't sure if there was going to be a PA review on Fridays. It's always a rough one, but there will be a PA review at 5 p.m. tomorrow. So I will see you guys there. It's always a pleasure, Speacock, Chip. Love you guys. Glad all of you are here. Have a great night. Good luck trading tomorrow. Bye, guys.